Proposals to halve the number of full-time staff at Taunton Fire Station have been criticised by the Fire Brigades Union. The plan would see the number of full-time crewed fire engines being reduced from 2 to 1, with the other engine being crewed by on-call or retained firefighters. The union says the changes would severely affect attendance times and could put the public at risk, something Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service strongly denies.
2 fire engines at Taunton's fire station are currently crewed full-time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But the service has to make £5.5 million in savings, and Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue plan to change it so that one of the engines is crewed by on-call or retained firefighters instead. Now, that will leave only one engine manned full-time, and the Fire Brigades Union say this will severely affect the service they provide. Wayne Withey is from the union. He told me exactly what the changes would mean.
Instead of 2 appliances being able to turn out together to a primary house fire or a road traffic collision, we'll only have 1 appliance able to turn out. There will be a time delay for the second appliance because the guys and girls that crew it will have to come in from their places of work and home.
And presumably they've got to get out of those places of work to come in as well, and that can add to the delay?
Yeah, there will be a time delay, definitely, because obviously they've got to travel from their place of work. I think the turnout time is supposed to be, they're supposed to live within 5 minutes, but obviously during the day when there's people at work and there's traffic and weekends when it's busy in Taunton, it's going to be a time delay, yeah.
Right, so let's have a figure on this. At the moment, what currently, how many things do you visit a year? I don't know whether you put them into fires or accidents, or how do you monitor what you do?
Well, every time we turn out from the station, the calls are logged. For instance, last year we had, I think it's 1,029 shouts, which is the turnouts. Of that, 349 times 2 of the fire engines went out together. So if you equate it to just the 1 fire engine at Taunton, then that would mean the retained staff would have to come in another 349 times to crew both appliances.
And that's almost as much as 1 a day.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And then that's on top of all the other work, because also at Taunton we don't just have 2 fire engines, we have a rescue tender, aerial ladder platform and an instant support unit, which we all crew, and we cross-crew together, so the retained come in and crew it with us, we crew them as well, and those appliances cover the whole county of Somerset, not just Taunton. So if we get a call for one of them, it's another call on top of already what we're doing. If the plans come in, what they're planning to come in place, then basically we would only have 7 firefighters at the station, and with courses and other commitments, you'd crew 5 on 1. So every time we got a call to an RTC or a house fire, the retained would have to come in, yeah, so it could practically double or even triple their workload.
So this is going to put the public at risk?
Definitely, yeah. We feel as though Taunton is definitely going to be less safe under these proposals, because it's the time delay in being able to get that second appliance out the door. You definitely need 9 firefighters at a house fire. 2 appliances within 10 minutes. The attendance standards at the moment, we've got 2 whole-time appliances, and we're only hitting 60 to 70% of our attendance standards at the moment. We can't do it even with 2 whole-time appliances. So if we drop to 1 and the second retained, it's just going to make it worse. We believe it's a real danger to the public. We need people to see what's going on.
And Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service say they have to make £5.5 million in savings. How do you expect them to do that then? What else would you want to see happen?
Well, what we found out, we've done some digging into the finances of Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue, and we found out that since combination, there's been a distinct departure from spending money on frontline services. And some of the figures that I can just pull out of the air for you is that the non-uniform budget in 2007-2008 was combination was £6.9 million. Since then, it's gone up to £10.97 million. There's been an increase of £4.23 million in those few years on non-uniform people that are not firefighters. These are civilian people that have been employed by the brigade to carry out a job.
So what sort of things do they do then?
Well, it'd be in HR, in quality assurance areas, you know, back room basically, office work. They don't go out operationally like we do. And it just seems to be there's a distinct departure into that area, similar to what's happened in the NHS, really, with these little with the Quango departments, and there seems to be a lot of managers for every firefighter. It seems to have gone down that route. And also,
so you're saying get rid of all the backroom staff?
Well, I think we need to look at a new direction. Something needs to be looked at, because why are we trying to save money by taking firefighters away? You know, because that's what the public want at the end of the day. We're the front line. The front line isn't just about response. It's about response, protection and prevention. And we do all of that.
Wayne Withey there from the Fire Brigades Union. Now, later on BBC Somerset, I'll be speaking to the chairman of the Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Authority about these proposals to find out if he thinks that they really will do harm to the public. Now, it's probably something we take for granted, but how would you feel if you were told firefighters could soon take longer to get to you if a fire broke out in your home, or if you were in a car crash? Well, that's what the Fire Brigades Union says could happen if proposed changes go ahead at Taunton Fire Station. The Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue have suggested halving the number of full-time staff at the station, with the extra workload being taken up by retained and essentially part-time firefighters. It is, of course, to save money, with the service as a whole needing to save £5.5 million. Now, the union says these changes will severely affect the quality of service and put the public at risk. Now, I've been speaking to Jez Rawlings. He's the Fire Brigade Union representative for retained firefighters in the South West, and he explained to me exactly what a retained firefighter does.
A retained firefighter is a person that carries a pager with them and can be alerted at any time, day or night. They have to provide either 60% or 40% attendance for all the calls they receive. So that's 6 out of 10 if you're full cover, or 4 out of 10 if you're part cover. On top of that, they're entitled to take 2 24-hour breaks a week from work. So the amount of cover that you're actually able to give cannot be 100% guaranteed. There is an amount of flexibility there, because you have a normal primary employer, your day job if you like, and you have responsibilities there. And you can't run off for long periods of time sometimes without compromising someone else's livelihood or your own.
So let's talk about that compromise then, because if these changes come in, it sounds to me like the retained firefighters like you are going to be having to run off a little, well, quite a lot more.
Yes, possibly. At the moment, the retained firefighter gives as much as he can. If the proposals go through and the second fire engine at Taunton is no longer crewed by the full-time staff there, and we have to do it, it means our workload is going to double. And we also crew the other machines on the station, and at the moment we have 11 retained firefighters, and there are 5 whole-time retained firefighters. They're ones that are full-time firefighters, but on their days off they also carry a pager and they help the retained crew the machines. So there's going to be no additional recruitment. So that entire workload is just going to have to be managed by the retained that we have now at the station. And
is it going to work? Is it possible?
I feel it's going to be very difficult to make it work without putting extreme pressure on the retained, and it's going to cause problems for their employers. And recruitment and retention of retained firefighters has been notoriously difficult, not only at Taunton but for all retained stations.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm having your employer in my head is the fact that they know that literally as soon as your pager goes, you're off, and they don't know when you're going to come back.
That's right, and they have signed up to that, but they expect you to be attending fires, and it's in your community, and you're doing a good thing, and they're thankful for that. However, some of our duties are like standby, because there's been an incident in another part of the county, and sometimes we're called in just to go over and provide cover in that area because those appliances have been otherwise deployed. And there's going to be a lot more of that. At the moment, you've got the full-time at Taunton who go over to Bridgewater to provide cover there. But if there's only going to be one fire engine crew by the whole time now, they're going to have to call the retained in to do that. They're going to continue doing that. So that means you're just going to be used for a lot of things, not just firefighting.
What's the overriding emotion here and the feeling for you? Is it, I mean, are you angry? Are you worried that you can't give the service? Is it dangerous?
I've been a retained firefighter for nearly 25 years, and I honestly can't believe that they're proposing to make these cuts. I can't see it working. All the retained can really appreciate the impact it's going to have on their family life and their main employment, and they fully support the whole time in trying to do whatever they can. We've been in town collecting signatures, petitioning people. I've written to my MP, and just trying to do what we can to make people realise this is, could be quite dangerous, really. There will be a delay for that second fire engine now, or if these proposals go through.
How realistic is the delay? Because I think most of you have to live within 5 minutes of the station, don't you?
That's right, but anyone that lives in Taunton realises that you don't have to go very far to get caught in traffic and be sat in Eastreach, which is literally less than a quarter of a mile from the station, and you can be there for 15 minutes. You can't live your life within 5 minutes of the fire station all the time.
The Fire Brigade's unions warning the plans will increase the workload of part-time firefighters to unmanageable levels, as well as worsen attendance times, and could even put the public at risk. The service says it needs to make £5.5 million worth of savings by next year. Mark Healy is chairman of the Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Authority. He says the changes are necessary and won't affect the speed with which the service can attend emergencies.
We've got to make changes. Going to a different crewing arrangement, looking at retained, saves upwards to nearly £1 million. And that's the reality of what we're going to do. This is not going to affect the public at all. Public's safety is our primary target. That's what we do for a living. Yes, there may be a time where there might be a minute delay, but that is not going to affect the public's safety.